What's going on, guys? Alex from 814ADC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on what I believe is my most favorite Tuya knife ever to date, the Tuya Knives Shocker. Now, I know I pretty much adore every Tuya knife that comes in besides the Voodoo. Every Tuya knife gets a very solid review, very high remarks from me, but honestly, guys, I think the Shocker takes the cake for me so far. This knife really surprised me because just from the looks of it, you know, in pictures and everything like that, I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I found out I did. Of course, this is a knife coming in from the Lefty passaround group. It is a package, little package deal with the Shocker as well as the Kunwu Chad, which you guys will see in the next video. But yeah, I've had my time with this knife, and as much as I am going to miss this knife, it's time for me to do my review and send it on to the next person so they can enjoy it, hopefully as much as I did. But yeah, just a fine pocket knife from Tuya. You know, typical remarks from Tuya. Great fit and finish, great action, great ergos. You know, the whole 9 yards, I guess. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into the review. Starting off with materials. You guys can see it has this beautiful clip point Bowie style blade, but it has a little bit of a ramp up here with jimping. There is the Tuya logo right there. This knife is in 20 CV, which is a little bit different than what Tuya has been typically producing in their higher end models. The last, I want to say 4 or 5 models I've handled from them have all been S90V. But 20 CV is no doubt one of the, I have a hair in my face, no doubt one of the best premium steels on the market. So it was a kind of nice change of pace. I'm a big fan of 20 CV, but beautiful PVD coated blade, nice slicey hollow grind, hole for deployment, stero over here. It's a really beautiful looking blade. I'm not typically the biggest fan of clip point or Bowie style blades. But this one just does it for me. It kind of reminds me of like a pirate sword or some sort of like machete. It looks really good. You have some cutouts here on the handle. You have a backspacer with texturing going around. You have a milled titanium pot clip, frame lock, and right there you guys can see that this is an SD Knives collaboration with Tuya. So Steve over at SD Knives is a custom knife maker, and he decided to team up with Tuya to make a production version. I don't know if this is a one-of-one, you know, like a production version of one of his customs, or if it's a completely new custom. A completely new model for production. I'm not a super, you know, I'm not very familiar with Steve's work. I've just heard of him, and, you know, I know that this is obviously a collaboration between him and Tuya. But there is internal milling on both sides. There are 2 big pockets on the show scale side, and on the frame lock side, there is 1 pocket. Has pretty good weight to it. I think it's sub 4 ounces, which we'll find out in a second. But just a beautiful specimen. You know, full tie, frame lock, milled clip, 20 CV, hole for deployment, beautiful blade, hollow grind. You guys already know it's going to get a 5. Now, there are 4 different versions available, which, of course, I will leave a link to Tuya's website down below if you guys are interested in checking out the Shocker for yourself. 3 of them are currently in stock. The 4th is out of stock, and it's not letting me click on it, so I'm not sure what the variant is. But the first one is, of course, a DLC blade with a PVD handle. The second one is a full, you know, just plain tie with a satin blade. And then the 3rd version is a satin blade with a burnt bronze orange peel titanium. And like I said, I cannot see what the last one is. I'm assuming maybe a orange peel, burnt bronze orange peel with a PVD coated blade. But they are all the same price, except for this version is $10 more, which we will talk about in the end. But yeah, they are all currently in stock besides the last version on Tuya's website. So if you guys are interested, definitely run over and check them out. Next up is aesthetic. And I love this knife. It really, like, I was interested in it, and I thought it looked good before I got it in hand and before I really, you know, experienced why I like this knife so much. And I really thought it was a good looking knife, but now that I have it in hand and I've, you know, spent time with it, I think it's a fantastic looking knife. Again, that blade shape is just so unique. It reminds me, like I said, a pirate sword or some sort of like machete you would see in like the Middle Ages. Just a sweeping belly, hollow grind. Again, you have a ramp with jimping right there. kind of a, I mean, it's a clip point Bowie clip, we'll call it that. Just a unique blade, has its own characteristics. I love the handle shape. I mean, as wild and extravagant looking as it is, it's still a relatively simple looking knife, and I definitely vibe with that quite a bit. Close, it looks really good. It's a really good size for me personally. So as far as aesthetics go with the Shocker, I think that's a 5 as well. Just a beautiful looking knife, and I really like, again, the extravagant but yet simpleness of the design, and it really speaks to me. So next up is the action. It's really good, guys. As is most action from Tuya, I have really yet to get a, not even bad. I have yet to get an okay action. Most of them have been, fantastic, very snappy, and this is no different. You guys can hear it snapping back into place. The hole is a skinnier pill-shaped hole. You can thumb flick it out quite easily. I just shove the pad of my thumb right up into the hole. It pops right out. Pops right out. Middle finger flick. Whoops. Can pop right out as long as you don't have any pressure on the lock bar. But reverse flick works really good. You can index finger flick it. You can slow roll it. But reverse flick is probably my favorite way of deploying this knife. And I have fidgeted with this thing an absolute ton since I've had this in. It's fun to play with. Again, it's a great size, responsive action, responsive detent. Then for closing, you guys can see frame lock drops to your nail. The flipper tab, not even a flipper tab, excuse me. The tang of the blade, I'm so used to saying flipper tab. The tang of the blade hits your thumb, move it out of the way, and you guys can see it barely hits your nail, move my thumb, and before I even have to move the knife, I mean, just barely a little bit, and it comes right home. Just buttery smooth action on bearings. No blade play at all. Locked up very tight. It's good. It's super smooth, super broken. Just very fun to repeatedly flick over and over again. Because trust me, I have done it. This has been, again, played with, flicked, fidgeted with, whatever you want to call it, a lot since I've had it in. And with that being said, this is getting a 5 in the action department. Now, one thing I did forget to mention real quick are some quick specs on this knife. And actually, I did not know this. I'm reading a little blurb on Tuya's website. Steve is the SD Knives, that's his brand, SD Knives. But he also has a company called Bad Habits Manufacturing, which is a newer company. I think they have a production folder and a production fixed blade. I was not aware that was Steve, having his own company. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so specs. 3.7 ounces, which it feels, it has a substantial amount of weight, but it's not overly heavy by any means. It has, it's a good weight in your hand, if you know what I mean. So 3.7 ounces. Overall, from tip to butt, 7.1 inches. Blade length is 3.1 inches, of course, 20 CV. And you guys know that 3.1 inches is right in that sweet spot for me personally with blades. So the specs on this are very impressive. But next up is Acoustics. I'm gonna, this is probably the one thing that's not going to get a 5, possibly the carry. But Acoustics is good, but again, you're not getting that high pitchedness. You're getting a really good satisfying thwack and a little bit of kind of clanging and metallicness. But you're not getting those high pitched rings, which you think you might be able to get because it is a frame lock. It has plenty of milling on the internals. So there's plenty of areas for sound to bounce around to, but it's just kind of lacking that. And that's just me being nitpicky, but I'm trying to be honest with you guys in these reviews. And if I were to give it a 5, it would have to have that, and it just doesn't. But other than that, it's very good. Very snappy. Other than the high pitchedness, it's awesome. So I'm going to give it a 4.5. Yeah, very solid acoustics on the Shocker. Next up is Ergos. This thing fits my hand like a glove. So of course you have pretty much a straight line from here back to here. tapers off, but you do have that backspacer with the cutouts in it, which is nice for improving your grip. You have a little bit of kind of a pinky choil back here, I think is what people typically call this. Swells and kind of skinny thighs, that's a word, up into here. And you have a nice natural restriction point. You can use this area to choke up, but just be careful because you are close enough to the blade. But without choking up, I can get all 4 fingers on here easily. It's very, very comfortable. My thumb lands right on that ramp of jimping, so it's a great locked-in grip. If you have to do push cuts or anything like that, you have probably the best amount of grip you're going to get on the knife here, just locked in with jimping. These cutouts really don't do too much. You can't really feel them too much unless you're touching them with the tip of your middle finger or pointer finger. Now choked up, you just slide up, wrap your pointer finger around here. Still comfortable, and then your thumb kind of lands right up here in this poon area, which gives you really good control through push cuts and things of that nature. Very, very comfortable. The titanium is, all rounded off for the most part, except for these cutouts here, but they're not sharp or anything like that. There's a little bit of contouring to the titanium in just the right areas, so it's pretty comfortable. The clip is a milled clip, so it's not sitting flush, or excuse me, it is sitting pretty flush to the scales. Don't really have to worry about that from a hotspot, area, but can't really feel it too much there. And then about the same here, so not much of a difference. But Ergos, for being a small knife, again, just over 7 inches total, 3-inch blades, so that leaves it about a 4-inch handle. I'd say I have large size hands. They fit on here very, very comfortably, very well. And again, this is, hammer grip, saber grip, reverse hammer grip. You can switch this around if you have to use it in a self-defense manner, but probably not the best knife for that. But again, this is probably your best suited grip. Or if you don't want to choke up like this, you still can choke back and move your thumb if you have big enough hands up here into the poon area. And that also gives you a really good amount of control and grip through different sorts of cuts. But the Ergos on the Shocker are not shocking, getting a 5 out of 5. Next up is carry. Now the pot clip on here works very well. I think it looks good from an aesthetic standpoint, but I just don't love how much you have sticking up out of your pocket. You have about that much. I don't know. I just feel like they could have made it a little bit deeper. I feel like they maybe could have angled it into the corner a little bit more, or just, done a little bit more to make it a deeper carry. I don't know why, but it just kind of bothered me with this knife because I wanted to love it so much and give it a perfect score. But for that reason, I'm not going to. Well, obviously for the acoustics as well. But, it sits down in your pocket very well. You do have, technically jimping along here, but it's not sharp or anything like that. And that's pretty much the top end of the knife. So you really don't have to worry about, possibly pulling this up out if you're down below it, getting changed, chapstick, things like that. I had no issues with it at all. I carried this in gym shorts around the house, sweatpants around the house, jeans out and about, shorts out, like khakis out and about. In every way it carried well. It's lightweight enough, 3.7 ounces, I believe it said, which again, it's a good amount of weight. It's not, too heavy, but not too light. It feels good in the hand. And it made no issues at all with carrying the knife in a, a successful way. I just wish the pocket clip was a little bit more deep carry, but for that, I'm only going to take half a point. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 again. And then next up, or lastly, I should say, is price point / value and what I recommend this knife. So guys, the Shocker, this specific version, is coming in at $295. The full tie version and the burnt bronze orange peel tie come in at $285. So this is, on the higher end of Tuya's spectrum, but again, it's still under $300. And for a production knife that is very well made, that is a collaboration with another custom maker in the knife space, I'm honestly, I don't know how this isn't like $350, which is crazy. Just crazy to me that they can, again, pack so much value into a product and have pretty much every mark across the board be well, with ergos, action, carry, materials, things of that nature. Like, I just think this is, again, a fantastic value, and I honestly I can't remember, I don't think Tuya has a knife over $300 in their catalog, which is, again, uber impressive to say the least. I've said it before in different Tuya videos, and I'll say it again. I think Tuya is one of the more consistent, OEMs out there that are packing possibly the most amount of value into one of the best price points you can get for consistency. You're always getting titanium, S90V, great action, great, like really good materials that are fine-tuned, put together really well, that provide a good action, good ergos, good carry, just a great pocket knife for, again, sub $300. And I think that is fantastic. And I really hope Tuya continues in the future to, produce knives like this at the sub $300 mark. I know with the economy nowadays, we're not going to get into that whole rabbit hole, but it's not the greatest, and a lot of things are going up in price, including knives. So again, to see, especially a knife like this that is just really, really well done, just a fantastic piece of pocket cutlery, stay at under $300. I think that's fantastic. So I can absolutely recommend this knife, guys. If you are a fan of Tuya, if you are a fan of SD knives, I think you're going to love this knife. I'm going to say right now, this has been my favorite Tuya knife. I said in the group chat to Kevin that I said if he, sometimes a lot of times he gives away, pass around knives because companies send them to him, and then he allows us to check them out, and then as a way of giving back to the community. Because if he kept every knife, he'd have like hundreds of pocket knives in his collection, and he doesn't, carry more than what? He probably has a personal collection of like 25 right now. So he gives away a lot of them, and I joking around to him, I said to Kevin, if you happen to give away the Shocker, I really hope I'm on the winning end of it, because I'm going to miss this knife, and it's just not in the cards right now for me to go out and purchase one, just willy-nilly, just trying to be a little bit better with, random knife purchases. But fantastic knife, guys. I really can't recommend it enough. I don't even have to do my math. It's getting a 34 out of 35, so damn near perfect, except for two small nitpicks that's falling in the fantastic category. And it's right up there with a lot of other really, really good knives, and I think it's very well fitting. So drop a comment down below. Have you guys handled a Shocker? Did you get one? Did you not get one? Things of that nature. You guys always know. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, specifically about the model at hand that I'm talking about. But yeah, just a fantastic pocket knife, and I'm really going to miss it. But that was my full review of the Tuya Knives Shocker. Huge shout out to Kevin over Lefty EDC for always allowing us to check out just really dope knives like this one. Love you, buddy. Always appreciate you. And I always appreciate you guys as well. So but I'm going to wrap this up now. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, night, day, whenever you guys are watching this. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.